searching for you. I'm still searching for you. From dirt to the sky, I'm still searching for you. 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 From dirt to the sky, I'm still searching for you.
Wake the fuck up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
You disgust me.
Who gives a shit?
Go on.
I made it the fuck up.
I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. It's glorious.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.
Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. And apparently I'm, once again, having a, session with a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cat. It's been kind of an interesting week, actually, so far. I'm almost afraid to, give it all away today because there's honestly so much of it. So I'm going to try to split up enough of it to where we can do part of it today and part of it on Saturday, and hopefully still have some room to do some stuff on Saturday. By the way, Saturday, we have a guest coming on, and it's kind of unusual because I don't usually do this. But our guest is going to be Owl Knight Publishing, who has a Kickstarter in place for a Dungeon Synth album. And what's kind of cool about this is I have always liked music, and I have always wanted to review music on YouTube. But thanks to the ridiculousness of trying to get a song past YouTube's AI in order to review it, I've pretty much just given up on it. I mean, it's just, you know, if they're going to make it that hard to even review stuff, then honestly, there's just, you know, stick to some other format, I guess. I mean, you know, I know some guys out there actually do manage to make it, and they do okay with it, but I don't know, man. About the only artist I can play, and I don't have to worry about copyright smacking me in the face, is Faderhead, and for that I greatly appreciate him. He's a really cool guy, and that's the one guy that I'd like to get on the show at some point too. But yeah, we're gonna have a Dungeon Synth artist on, talking about his Kickstarter, and hopefully we will have Greg from Iries over here to talk to him as well, because he's also a dungeon synth guy. So if you're into dungeon synth, you have that to look forward to.
Well, it's one of those things where we need to kind of branch out a little bit more often and, try to get some of the more, tabletop adjacent stuff, onto the show.
And speaking of tabletop adjacent, I do have a couple of cool tabletop things for us to look at. I don't know if we necessarily want to have Grim on board for this as well, but I'll let you guys decide. But let's see. We were asked by Joel Clark to check out his Lone Wolf Fists cheat sheet, which probably shouldn't be a big deal. And, actually, that's one that we probably need to get Grim on for, because Grim is the last person I know who ran Lone Wolf Fists for me, and we all saw how much he was struggling with it. But, we also have Ashes Without Number, the beta, the 22nd beta, and we haven't looked in on this for a long time. So if anybody wants to see how things are progressing with Kevin Crawford's new post-apocalyptic simulation RPG, we will gladly look at it. You guys just let me know out there in the audience. What's my demand?
Well, you said one of the magic words.
What's that?
Kevin Crawford.
I did. Yes. We're all obliged to drink now.
A nice quality cherry Pepsi.
Those are words that almost don't go together. Oh, I uploaded a new clip that I'm pretty sure will get us copyright claimed, so this is probably the only time you guys out there will see it. But I thought, why not? Let's do this one. I was watching this, I was clipping it, and I thought, this is too good not to have. So, yeah, as soon as it finishes uploading here. There we go. All right. New clip. Probably the only time we'll get to see it, it'll probably be excised from the video right afterward because YouTube copyrights and stuff. But you know what? We're going to do it anyway. As soon as it finishes processing. My gosh, why is this so slow today?
It hates you.
It does, man. It just hates me.
Well, see, the secret is the internet is run by cats.
Oh, so I need to give you like some chicken or something, or some tuna?
Well, it's got to be the wet food.
Ah. Oh yeah, this is a 31-second clip. This one's definitely going to get us claimed, but for all of you out there in the audience, I hope you enjoy it. Yeah. I love that. I love Life of Brian. Life of Brian actually got funnier for me after I had to take Old Testament class, because all of a sudden the jokes all started landing. Yes. Don't tell me you haven't seen it.
So what else do we have on the docket?
Have you seen any Monty Python movies?
Well, yeah, of course. I've gone ahead and seen the Holy Grail, but that's like everyone has seen that one.
Yeah, everyone has seen that one. Every gamer has to see that one at least once.
And we love to talk about the moose.
Yes, we love to talk about the moose. Hey, everybody out there in the audience, do me a favor. Post up your favorite must-see game movie. I don't care what it is, but the one that you think every single RPG gamer needs to see once at least. Go ahead, post them up. I definitely think Monty Python and the Holy Grail is one. But, huh?
I threw in my 2 cents.
Dude, you keep trying to get me to watch that one.
You haven't seen this movie?
Okay, that's true. I haven't seen that one, but I mean, everybody wants you to see that one. Okay, that makes 2. I haven't seen Demon Hunters. Does it go by a different name, Nerdity?
Was that the Tales from the Crypt movie?
That was Demon Knight.
Ah.
I saw that in the theater. Excalibur. Yeah. Yeah, good one.
Caliber.
That movie was awesome. And dude, it was like a who's who of famous actors who weren't famous back then. I mean, you had a young Liam Neeson. You know, you had a oh my gosh. Let me look at the cast list. Jesus, that movie is old. But I remember it, and actually I watched it like a few months ago. And oddly, I don't know, it's like maybe it's because I'm older now, it doesn't come off as well as it did back when I was younger. That doesn't mean it's not still a great film. But yeah, this was made back in 1981. Let me see, who do we have on this list? Nigel Terry. People are probably not going to recognize who that is, but he's, well, okay. Most of these guys are no longer with us. Nigel Terry is no longer with us. Helen Mirren, now Dame Helen Mirren. And bonus, you got to see Helen Mirren's tits in this one. Yeah. Nicole Williamson, who played Merlin, probably the best Merlin I've ever seen, ever, hands down, best Merlin. He's no longer with us. Nicholas Clay, who actually was in quite a few British productions, great actor, really cool guy. He's also no longer with us. Sherry Marie Lunghee, who actually is still active and still doing stuff. So awesome. We got one that's still around. Paul Jeffrey, who is no longer with us. Robert Addy, who played Morgan, or I should say Mordred, and he's no longer with us. I'm sorry, guys. It was a long time ago. Cancer was a thing. I'm sorry. I don't mean to bring everybody down.
Everyone's smoked.
Yep. Gabriel Byrne, though, he's still around. We had a young Gabriel Byrne playing was it Uther? And we had, like I said, a young Liam Neeson who was playing Sir Gawain. And we had a younger Patrick Stewart playing Leon de Grace of Cameliard. We had a couple. Yep, we had Clive Swift as Sir Ector, who is no longer with us. We had Keith Buckley as Urians, who is no longer with us. Corin Redgrave, who as the Duke of Cornwall, who is no longer with us. Paul Jeffrey, who played Percival, who was probably my favorite character in the film, and is also no longer with us. Catherine Borman, who this is, I think, like pretty much the only film she really ever did, and she was nude. So, Oh, here we go. Syrian Hines, who played King Lot. He's still around. So there we go. And Mannix Flynn, who is an Irish independent politician. That's pretty much, Eamon Kelly is the abbot, who he was an Irish actor, and he's no longer with us. So yeah, go watch this film, because a lot of people died, and you should honor their work by watching it, because it's an awesome gamer movie. Lord of the Rings. Well, yeah, that's an obvious one. But if you're going to watch Lord of the Rings, you have to watch the extended cuts. Okay, don't pussy out and watch only the theatrical cuts, because only pussies watch the theatrical cuts. Be a real man. Watch the extended cuts. Sit down, get as much energy drinks or as much beer or anything else that you need. I don't know, stock up on Four Loko if you have to, and just ball it through all 9 hours of that shit. And if you really feel like a challenge, do all the extended cuts of The Hobbit before it too. That's how real men watch their Lord of the Rings films. You have seen these, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Demon Hunters was a student film made by the same folks who made the Gamers movies.
Oh. Okay, you're going like super off the beaten path there then. Even I hadn't heard of that one, and I like the Gamers.
Esoteric Order of Nerdity has this really weird ability to find like obscure stuff. So he's kind of cool about that. Come, Father, let us embrace at last. Yep. The Call of Cthulhu Lovecraft Society silent movie version. Okay, that is a good one. By the yeah. Heck, even Sandy Peterson liked that one. And yeah, like he told us on the show a couple of weeks ago, he funded the Whisperer in Darkness, which is the sequel. Which I have a copy of the Whisperer in Darkness, thanks to one of our late friends. But anyway, yeah. Patrick Stewart, Liam Neeson, yeah. After some thought, probably Journey Quest, although it's a web series, not a movie. Okay. Blade Runner, yes. Anybody else got any out there?
Evil Dead.
Movies that you actually, that every gamer has to see at least once. Doesn't matter what it is.
Army of Darkness.
Dune 1984, yeah. Army of Darkness, definitely. A lot, actually. Yeah, there's a whole bunch, really. Conan the Barbarian would definitely be high on my list. And I hate to say this, but also Conan the Destroyer, because, let's face it, it's... Conan the Barbarian is what everybody wants to be when they play their TTRPG as their character. Conan the Destroyer is actually what it more or less plays like. That's what I'm going to say.
I think was it Dungeons and Discussions or Diversity and Dragons? Sorry, there's too many D&D names. He did a video, I think last year, that was kind of hitting on just why the Destroyer is the perfect D&D movie.
Well, he's not wrong, because it really is. It kind of has everything. It has character moments for everybody to shine in. It has a wide cast of different personalities with different alignments. It has an overarching quest. It has magic. It has monsters. It has lots and lots of sword fighting. It has a little bit of PC, discussion and role play and stuff. So yeah, it kind of is. It's pretty much. It's like it almost feels like gamers put that movie together. The Will Smith Superman? Really? No. 12 Monkeys. I did not like that movie. Driving and Dragons is the only YouTube name you need is Driving and Dragons. Daniel's pretty good. I like his takes. Yeah, I just got access to the cheat sheet also. Joel Clark actually asked us to talk about it. It's really not as hard as you and Grim thought. Well, thanks. But, I beg to differ. We were struggling with it. I mean, as you saw plainly on camera, but we did it. We managed to make it work. So there was that. I mean, even Joel was cringing looking at it and going, oh my God, I didn't realize I made this so hard. So, hey, that's okay. It's okay to criticize, because that's how problems get fixed, right? If we hadn't done that, if we hadn't shown off how hard it was for us to figure it out, he wouldn't have come up with the cheat sheet. And you had difficulty with it as well. See, there you go. And Tabletop did too? No, I did not get dunked on. I did not get dunked on. We'll wait till Saturday to show that one off. All right, so the big news that I got this morning, and I am a little bit skeptical, a little bit dubious, and part of me is extremely apathetic. But I'm going to say it anyway, okay? the rumor coming down the pike from one source at this point is that Kathleen Kennedy is preparing to make an exit from Lucasfilms.
Which, it's one of these things we've often sat and talked about. It's become a matter of discussion for the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, I'm feeling kind of numb to the whole question. Because,
yeah,
well, at this point, she had accomplished all she sought out to do, for there was nothing left for her to destroy.
I kind of feel that way too, but I'm gonna say some stuff, and I'm not trying to get political, but because I think politics did play some measure in why she is stepping down, I am just gonna say this. Some of the speculation from folks like Jeremy at Geeks and Gamers is that because of the anti-DEI initiative and possibly the Doge, that she has seen kind of the writing on the wall and which way that the wind is blowing, and has decided that she is going to get now while she still can. Knowing that she really won't be able to do much more damage to the franchise. I mean, and honestly, she can't. I think Acolyte pretty much just buried the franchise for all time.
Well, let's not forget the fact that she's also 71, so she's not exactly a spring chicken herself.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, she is retirement age. But, she had an axe to grind. It's pretty obvious. I mean, from the beginning, when she started, she had an axe to grind, and we were the chopping block. So,
well, I mean, it was ultimately more about her trying to prove that she could have ideas up there with George and Steven, because they would always kind of turn down poo-poo on her ideas, where she would say things like, what if Indy didn't get the girl and he got the dog instead?
Mm-hmm. Well, we know how that turned out. I mean, she had her shot, and she took it at several different franchises and just drove them all into the ground. I think Indiana Jones at this point can't go any further. I mean, Harrison Ford's just too damn old. He can't do any more. They're gonna have to reboot it and pass the hat on to somebody else if they want to try to revive it. And if they do try to revive it, I don't necessarily think it's going to be as big of a splash as Raiders of the Lost Ark was all those years ago.
Well, there is sort of an issue there, too, that we keep trying to go back to these legacy characters as though they are going to be this evergreen, eternal character. And at the end of the day, I do think there is a matter of saying, a character can exist for a time, but then, sometimes you just get so far removed from the source material. Like, how long are we going to have Nazis around as the eternal punching bag to, have our heroes fighting? It's like, guys, that was 70 years ago now. Like, the impact and effect of having them as the evergreen bad guy to beat up is getting pretty old itself.
True. It's worth pointing out that he didn't always fight, Germans, but I mean, pretty much it's like, yeah, that fourth movie was like, yeah, the Russians were there to stand in for Germans, and even with Spielberg behind that one, it still wasn't very good. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the Indiana Jones franchise can recover. I think it could. What they really need to do is they need to get the guy who did Tales from the Golden Monkey. They need to find that guy if he's not dead already. They need to tell him, hey, we want to, restart, Indiana Jones with a different actor, younger and earlier in his career, and see if we can't make a cable series out of it or something, because that's where their money's going to be. It's in cable. Even, okay. And the only reason I'm saying it like this is because ostensibly the upcoming Daredevil Born film that's coming up, or show, or whatever it is going to be mature rated, even though it's on Disney Plus. So it seems to me like Disney has kind of realized that if they want to, get people's attention, they're going to have to like step up a little bit more and not kidify it quite so much. But I don't know.
It's always kind of just sad kind of seeing some of these things hang on well past their prime.
Well,
Sorry, I'm still in that I still have that in mind. But Daredevil, I mean, maybe it'll be good. It definitely seems like they are trying to make some attempts to make things work.
the Mummy movies are more Indiana Jones and Indian Crystal Cult. Yeah, they really were. Those were great. I don't know why they didn't latch onto that thing and turn that into a cable series. It would have been great. But...
Oh, it would have been. But the problem was they wanted to try to, follow the Marvel trend and do the dark cinematic universe and have Tom Cruise.
Yeah, boy, that fell. Well, but they didn't have just Tom Cruise. I mean, they had a few films out. I mean, they did, was it Dracula Untold, which was, it was okay.
But
wasn't my favorite.
But that was another attempt to make a superhero of Dracula. And look, I enjoyed it for what it was. But it was clearly trying to sort of chase that MCU sort of tone.
Yeah. I actually thought the Wolfman was really pretty decent. I liked it. I have not watched The Mummy. I don't want to. So, probably never will.
No, see, I'm going to be pretty content just to stick with, like, the Hammer films for the meantime. And speaking of, did you get to hear the news?
No, but we weren't done.
Oh.
Yeah, don't switch on me now. Let me stick to this for just a little bit longer. I promise I won't bury it. But okay. Let's go. Going back to actually what the real deal was behind all this stuff. Okay, we got Kathleen Kennedy supposedly stepping down. I think all of us can agree, like, universally, that it is the Star Wars franchise that she really did the most damage to.
It was the cash cow.
Yeah. And boy, did she do the best that she could to slaughter that thing. Now, I don't know if all the upcoming projects that she was attached to are still going to happen or not if she steps down. That's one of the things that makes me think that she will not step down, is the fact that she had all these projects in the works and still wants to try to see them through, kind of like, the Rey movie that she was so excited about. Because I'm sure that's going to be a massive mega blockbuster. I'm sure that's going to make them lots and lots of dollars, right? Yeah. Because everybody loves Rey. Rey Skywalker.
No.
Yep. But yeah, under her watch, I mean, she tanked the Star Wars franchise, and the fact is, it's like, there were moments during her tenure on the Star Wars franchise that I had a glimmer of hope here and there. I mean, Mandalorian Season 1, I loved it. Season 2 was, kind of like the cameo season, but I still kind of enjoyed it. Season 3 was like, dude, we have completely lost the plot. Boba Fett was pathetic. I don't remember watching anything else too far beyond that.
No, I think by that point I was out.
Yeah. Yeah, those 3 movies pretty much killed all my interest in Star Wars, and I was not that big of a Star Wars fan to begin with, I'll admit. Those first
I was like, I've spent money on lightsabers. I've got a costume. I used to buy the books and get the audiobooks, like the toys. I was the whale that they had on the hook, and I walked away. Heck, I took a bunch of I took a bunch of my stuff and I took it up to a little used media shop. I sold it.
I believe it. You're kind of like one of our other panelists who hasn't been here in a while. Optimus Clyde. He was a hardcore Star Wars fanatic, and I remember, while I lost interest in Star Wars because I was kind of into my Star Trek phase, and Star Wars was just kind of like, that's not really very cool. That's much less mature than Star Trek. But he stuck with it, and he actually got me to read Shadows of the Empire, and I really loved it. So I thought there was some hope for Star Wars. Then Lucas brought out those first 3 films.
We said the word too many times.
Yes, the Star Wars. The Star Wars.
The Star Wars.
The Star Wars. The Star Wars. All her stupid ass had to do was copy paste heir to empire. Yeah, I mean, seriously. She had so much great potential, so many great templates to pull from. As far as material, I mean, the whole EU. There was all the stuff that was written afterward, all the stuff that everybody expected to be canonical. I mean, even Shadows of the Empire would have been great, but no. We have to do our own thing and ruin it. Wasn't Andor season 1 confirmed before they filmed Kenobi and that they were taking the franchise seriously? I mean, well, everyone says that Andor season 1 was good, but I don't know. I never watched it. I had no interest.
Yeah, just it had a respectable audience to it, but there was just no buzz around it, and there was no passion. It exists, and it whatever it did just enough for the internal numbers to justify a second season.
Because there's a second season coming out. I don't like the lead actor. I never thought Andor was particularly a very good character to begin with. I mean, what is it?
Casio keyboard?
No. Rogue One is sitting over there on my shelf, and I remember, Andor from that movie, and I thought he was an asshole. I felt absolutely nothing for that guy except contempt. I just, when everybody else in the film started dying, I was kind of like, please, can we see this dude get horribly murdered at some point?
And the thing was, everyone around him was much more entertaining, more interesting.
Absolutely.
Cheer Up and Imwe, K2SO.
Oh, they were the best.
Mm-hmm. Those 3 were my favorites. Those 3 deserve their own film or their own little mini series and stuff like that. Not Obi-Wan, right? Not Andor. It's like, it's like Lucasfilms doesn't know how to read the audience worth of shit. It's like, instead of giving us the characters we wanted to see and wanted to know more about, they just kept going on with these other characters who, and trying to spin out new things like the what was all that crap that they tried to say was all the before time? I don't even remember. The universe?
Nah, the other stuff. The stuff with the stuff that the Acolyte was set in.
Oh, the High Republic.
The High Republic, yeah, which was like, yeah, obviously we know why it was called the High Republic, because whoever came up with that shit was smoking something.
They got High Republic.
Yeah. God. I think the Star Wars franchise is kind of screwed. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take for them to be able to recover from it. And at this point, I'm not sure what the worst move they could possibly make would be. Because there's been talk of them wanting to reboot the franchise, which would mean they'd have to make a whole new Star Wars movie or episode 1 or whatever and go from there. And I'm just like, no, please do not do that.
No.
It would never hold up. Nobody would accept it.
It's just it's it's a damaged brand. It was one of the most lucrative, like, genre entertainment properties. It was the biggest thing. Like, Star Wars was practically a religion.
Yes,
Like,
it was.
and it's lost all the magic. And in the next 10, 15 years, you're going to see it you're going to see it fall lower and lower and lower.
But
And
it's
it won't ever quite have the same muster it did. Like, the 90s era, hell, the prequels era. Like,
Mhm.
the magic just won't be there. Because
Yeah.
by that point, more and more of the original people who saw the movie in theaters won't be around. That next
Yeah.
generation, they're starting to get older. And with every day that passes, tragedies happen one by one. These people are not going to be there, are not going to go to bed that night.
Yeah. What it reminds me of is kind of like the Dungeons and Dragons dilemma. Look at that. I brought it all the way back around to Dungeons and Dragons. See? Because you remember a lot of, the 5th edition fan base that originally started out were people like me who were older players who wanted to see what this new edition was like and wanted to see if they had course corrected from 4th edition. So, our curiosity was, hey, can we put down our Pathfinder books now and maybe put that bloated sack of shit system down? Because it is a bloated sack of shit system. I play Pathfinder, and I still think it's a bloated sack of shit system. It's so much work building a character, and the characters can die so quickly. But that's beside the point, because they can also be overpowered as shit from level 1. But yeah, a lot of people like me, picked up 5th edition and wondered if it would be, the next big thing. And so that core audience was responsible for all the initial sales that kept that game going. And then, of course, the singularity of gaming struck, and between a unspecified virus of Chinese origin, supposedly, and a runaway live action role-play show, that game went wildfire.
And it had its time. It rose into that prominence, that popularity. But the thing is, they've tried to push it to the point where it's mainstream, to where it is on every corner. It'll be just seen as just as common a pop culture icon as, well, Star Wars is. And it's fair to say neither one is in a healthy position right now. Like, merchandise will rot on shelves. And in fact, like, I don't know if you happen to see, like, they just announced a couple of new D&D products. So we're finally getting to see what they're going to do after we get now that we've got the monster manual out.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you briefly. We got an announcement of another set crossover with Magic.
Magic the Gathering.
Yep. Which I will say, fingers crossed, this should be better than Strixhaven. So there's no coffee shops. But this was a pretty popular set in its day, Lorwyn Shadowmoor, which is basically a fairy tale world that shifted from sort of a day side to a night side. And so you would get sort of the bright and happy kind of side of fairy tales, and then when it shifted to the dark side, they all took a sinister turn. So there was something kind of interesting there to explore, but that was ultimately this was like a set that came out like 2007 originally. But then also, in addition, well, it's Dungeons and Dragons, and the next book they're putting out is a series of adventures all about dragons.
Of course. Well, they have to put adventure books out because that's something that new GMs are going to need. I don't know.
this is ultimately this is going to be like, I think, 10 adventures for various levels, like 1 to 12, kind of like what we saw with the Infinite Stairwell adventure thing, or the Tales of the Yawning Portal. And
Of
then
course.
the Lorwyn Shadowmoor book is going to be the one where you're going to get your D&D supplements. This is going to be where we get the subclasses and new racial options. This is the book they're going to try to sell to players.
Uh-huh.
Which
This is
which I will say, you know, this kind of this scratches the right sort of itch for me personally, because, well, these were settings when I was playing Magic, I would have loved to have had adventures in and explore. This is, I would say, a product that has promise.
I agree. I'm not a big Magic player anymore, but I was way back in the day. And, this stuff has cultural impact on me because I remember some of these things. I wasn't around at this point. I was not in Magic, but, here and there, I would still catch wind of what was going on. And, there's some familiar old names that still pop up from time to time, like Nicole Bolas. So...
Oh, yeah. Nicol Bolas is one of those fantastic villains they could really do a lot with. He is that Thanos-esque threat who's going to be having these problems that span multiple, not just multiple worlds, multiple planes of existence.
Mm-hmm. I used to have that card, but it was hard to get out though because it took like 3 different magics.
Yeah, he's a big beefy beast.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like once you get him on the board, he can just about stop anything, but getting him on the board is the trick. But I don't know. I mean, it's like, I guess there'll be some crossover because, maybe they're trying to pull the Magic players back into playing their other franchise, D&D, and doubling down on what they've got. And they will succeed on that to some degree, but I don't necessarily know how well embraced 2024 edition D&D has been. Grim just dropped his review on the Monster Manual.
Yeah, I saw his video, and it does look like it's by and large been pretty underwhelming. I think either players are saying, I'm just going to write out the current book, or they haven't seen enough justification to make them feel the FOMO where they have to make the big transition.
I mean, I don't.
I think what we'll see is probably around Christmas time. We'll finally see a big jump because they'll probably put out some sort of box set with all 3 books. If a lot of people were waiting to make the transition for a box set, because I think that would probably be the smart thing to do. Because they did put out a box set like that for the core 3 books, plus as well for some of their other supplement books like Tasha's and Xanathar's.
Mm-hmm.
They've had a couple books like that they've put out in box sets, and now that we've got all 3, there's no reason why they shouldn't put that out with like a GM screen. Have all 4 in one.
I don't know. But I mean, again, this is another franchise that I don't know. I don't know if I can necessarily say it's being driven into the dirt. Certainly they tried to.
Well, the big thing ultimately is D&D. Well, one, there's 10 years of content out there for people to play with. So the fact that they were just trying to convince people to come buy the book to be able to play their tiefling again isn't a good enough sell. They've got to give more sizzle to that steak. It's like, I've already had the cheeseburger. What else have you got?
Magnificent Devil, I think you actually might be right on that because they have already proven that they will license out their other brands. I mean, that's why there's a Transformers game that's by Renegade Studios. That's why there's a G.I. Joe game by Renegade. And what other games are they doing? Was it My Little Pony? That's one. That was a Hasbro product, I believe.
Yeah, basically all of those toy lines, Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, Transformers, My Little Pony, have all gone over to Renegade, in addition to Heroescape.
Yeah, that's right.
The other Avalon Hills?
Yeah. Well, we know what Sandy Peterson thought about Avalon Hill. So.
Oh,
but
so
maybe they've changed.
So actually, I did come across one rumor this week that
Oh.
brought up Hasbro.
Oh yeah.
This is more from the toy line, just kind of lean into what you're saying. They're magnificent. But the rumor is Hasbro might be looking to shift some of their toy lines to an made to order. So rather than doing the big bulk order and being stuck with all of the toys that they could just shove over to Ollie's when they don't sell, it would basically be a order, come as you go order. And let's see. And that's something they've been kind of doing a little bit. The Hasbro Pulse has been doing that with, some of the stuff we've had our laughs over the Cantina.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done the HasLabs for the X-Men 97 Sentinels and things like that. It's a rumor that's kind of floating out there, and it's not outside the realm of possibility. Hasbro is going to continue to lean into licensing things, which we've certainly seen with them passing on the RPGs over to Renegade. But in addition, we've seen them starting to look at that more and more with their Magic line. Because right now, one of the biggest ones out for pre-order that just opened up this past week was the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering crossover set. Pre-orders for that are insane right now.
Well, yeah, because everybody likes Final Fantasy still.
Mm-hmm. And I will say some of the art on those cards does look kind of good.
There is a toy production that actually got me kind of excited, and I believe I showed this one to you earlier, but yeah, this is an upcoming thing from Hasbro. The Cold Slither edition characters.
I was just
cartoon.
I was just showing this to Nick Weiser. We've been getting into the Energon Universe comics, and through the Cobra Commander comic, they introduced the Dreadnoks.
Mm-hmm.
Nick absolutely loved these guys, and I had to show it to him. Like, holy crap, Nick! Like, you love Buzzer. Look, you get like this rock star Buzzer.
I have to admit that I really liked the Dreadnoks, and I thought they were a really cool inclusion in G.I. Joe. And Zartan was like the coolest figure ever. I don't care what anybody says, but he had the color-changing skin. He had the little swamp buggy that he could run around on, and you could take it apart, and he could carry it with him in his little trawler thingy. And he had the mask that he could put on, and he had the gun, and he had the little armor that came on and off, and also like shifted or refracted color. I mean, he was just by himself such a neat-ass character that they really didn't need to release any other editions of that character except that one. Although they did bring out another one later on, but it was kind of pathetic and nobody remembers it because it was so late in G.I. Joe's run that it was just like, okay. That was about the point when they started making all the guns out of blue plastic or Day-Glo plastic. And shit started getting even more weird with the Toxic Force and the Space Marines and all that other bullshit that I lost interest by that point. Actually, I'll tell you what. I saw the writing was on the wall for G.I. Joe when they brought out Battle Force 2000. And I remember looking at all the Battle Force 2000 characters as a kid and thinking, wow, all these guys look like ass. All these vehicles that are supposed to combine into one big, little mobile fortress type thing. All the vehicles look like ass. And that's kind of when I knew the writing was on the wall for G.I. Joe, because I think I bought like 2 Battle Force 2000 vehicles and a few of the figures. And, I think that at that point, that's when I set my G.I. Joe figures down and didn't pick them back up again. Pretty sure.
I will say, as far as the Hasbro toy lines are going, I'd say the G.I. Joe line has actually turned out to be one of the better ones they're putting out right now as far as the figures go. Like the couple of Joes I've picked up, I absolutely adore playing with.
Mm-hmm. Jonathan Frost, you removed the little screw at the back and mixed and matched body parts. Yeah, I did that too. And the rubber band holding the torso and legs is the hardest part to put back together. Yeah. As a matter of fact, that little rubber band, if you go back through my videos, I have a video out that shows you how to fix your old G.I. Joes and what you need to do it with. That was actually pretty informative, I thought. Because, I had a box of my old G.I. Joes, and those rubber bands, they're made out of rubber, and they vulcanize, they become brittle, and they break. So, yeah, I had a video showing how to put them back together after they've broken, what you needed. But yeah, I kind of, I don't know, man. I miss the little Joes. I mean, the big ones have a lot of detail on them, and sure, they're awesome and all that, but I just kind of miss the little ones.
Well, the big issue the larger issue that the bigger toys have led to is the fact that you can't sell accessories. You can't sell vehicles to go with them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, nobody wants to pay $200 for a HISS tank.
I mean, could you imagine trying to sell, 6-inch scale? Was it the battleship? It would be an entire room.
You talk about the aircraft carrier?
Yes.
The flag? Yeah, you couldn't do it. I mean, it would be as big as a car. Actually, the original one was as big as a car. I mean, lengthwise anyway. Yeah, you just couldn't do it. I mean, they could probably make like one or like maybe 10 or 100, and the diehard ultra rich whales who collect this stuff from Hasbro, and I'd almost be 90% sure they'd be YouTubers. Rich ones, not me. I'm a tiny YouTuber. I wish I was rich. Those would be the only guys who'd buy them to show them off on their stream. Like the guy who bought the Unicron figure, the full-sized one, and showed it off on stream. That thing was cool as hell. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, when it gets to be that big, what can you really do with it?
They go to a fairly small group because, for example, for a lot of these, it might be like 8 to 10,000, of these will be made, period.
Mm.
So, it's a fairly small market right there. And it's just all unfortunate because there's a lot that you would love to kind of have to play with. And I guess they've gotten their idea that if their core audience are all adults, they want to have something, that fits in the hand of an adult. But all it's doing in turn is making the figures a bit too big for kids. I mean, to be able to get one of these, like the Boba Fett action figure was $35. And I'm like, no, I'm not paying $35 for a Boba Fett action figure, especially not after the book of Boba Fett.
I will say this. I do check in on Ollie's now and again just to see if they have anything. And although the shelves are stocked with stuff, it's mostly the same crap. It's like they haven't gotten anything new in forever. I mean, the shelves are still full of unsold Snake Eyes figures. Like from the movie, not, but no other Joes.
I would love to have a Storm Shadow, but I don't want the movie Storm Shadow. I want an iconic, classic-looking Storm Shadow.
Yep. Well, I'm lucky. I've got both. But I don't have the snow version, which was really cool and also really expensive. But most of the shelves at the Ollie's in my neighborhood is just full of Marvel crap. Mostly like Black Panther crap and Marvel stuff that didn't sell. Oh yeah, Eternals is up there too. I haven't been there
that movie came out like a month before Spider-Man No Way Home, and we're still having to wade through the mountains of shit that movie produced.
Well, yeah, that's what happened with the newest Captain America movie. It's like, oh, look, they've got the Eternals sticking out from the ground or from the sea, and he's made of adamantium, and Japan and America want all the adamantium from him, and then for some reason, some guy thinks that he can trick the Japanese into, fighting with the Americans. And I'm just kind of like, you're a dumbass. I mean, the Japanese self-defense forces wouldn't have a hope in hell of fighting the United States.
No, and that's partially because, well, on top of all that, it's because one of the stipulations of World War II and the ending of the war was Japan cannot have a formal military.
Mm-hmm. They can only have a self-defense force, and their self-defense force is largely comprised of older equipment. Mm-hmm. So, there's no way they would have access to, the latest fighter jets or missiles or any of that shit. I mean, if North Korea or China decided to take a shot at Japan, we would be the first person or the first country that they would come screaming to for help. So, there's no way they would fight us in a war. That just ain't gonna happen. That's that's like the equivalent of an angry 4-year-old trying to stand up to you and hit you and stuff, and it's just kind of like, oh, it's so cute. But yeah, so that whole premise right there in the first place was stupid. And then them trying to bring back the leader, Tim Blake Nelson, who apparently has the power of super prediction, and yet he keeps getting thwarted at every turn by Falcon. I'm just like, way to neuter your villain.
Well, don't forget, like, the other half of the fallout of that movie was them trying to pick up pieces and plot elements from the Incredible Hulk movie from 2008.
Uh-huh. Well, that's one of them.
That movie is 17 years old.
Mm-hmm. Nobody remembers it, as far as I know. Actually, that's not the first time they've done it, though, because remember, they brought back the Abomination to try to, do something with him in one of those shows or movies or something like that. I don't know. I didn't watch it. It was crap.
But there's a difference between trying to put him into to make parts of that the big elements of like an episode or two of your TV show, and doing the same thing with one of your movies that has to make like $700 million to break even. The problem is, yeah, people remember that, but general audiences have the memory of a goldfish. They're not going to remember this stuff. Like I had to tell my dad that and he's the one who got me into comics. I had to tell him Doctor Strange is a Marvel character. He didn't know this.
Yeah, the common public doesn't distinguish between the two different franchises. And if you tell them indies, they sure as hell don't know who any of those are.
Yeah, they'll look at it and think Superman's a Marvel character. They'll think that Madam Web and Kraven the Hunter, if they even are aware that those movies existed, they'll think those are part of the MCU.
Well, they kind of are. I mean, Sony is owned by Disney, so
No.
Who owns Sony then?
Sony.
Sony owns Sony?
Yeah.
And they won't cross over?
Sony owns the film rights to Spider-Man.
Yeah, they keep loaning them out to Disney. And that means all the Spider-Man characters are Sony's, huh?
Yep. And then as part of the deal, they were able to have Venom get to pop into the Marvel universe for like a half a second. So now everything they do and they tie to that Venom movie, they could say is totally part of the MCU. And hey, normies, you should come see this movie because it's also part of all those movies that we have no legal obligations or connections to. So, Madam Web.
Well, I mean, Madam Web was a terrible choice because, yeah, they obviously couldn't make a comic accurate Madam Web movie because it would have been extremely boring to watch a geriatric, crippled blind woman sitting in a chair making predictions. That wouldn't have made a very good movie. But I thought they had a chance with Morbius, and then they screwed that up. the Venom franchise had some legs until they drove it into the ground.
It's Morbin time.
It's Morbin time. Yeah. I don't know, man. And the New Mutants? No. They ruined that. No. But now apparently all the X-Men and stuff like that are supposed to be making their way into the Marvel universe because of, Deadpool, Wolverine, mutants. Mutants are a thing now.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of which, something we haven't talked about, but you and I suppose, can do that, because I wish we had Ego here for this one too, because he would love to talk about this, or even Optimus Clyde. But those of you out there who do like comic books, be aware, Kamala Khan is being retconned into all the older X-Men stories to be part of the team.
Yeah, they're picking a key year for it too, because this year is the 50th anniversary of Giant Size X-Men #1, which was where we got the big reboot and brought Wolverine and Colossus and Nightcrawler, Storm,
Thunderbird,
and Sunfire. Yep, and Thunderbird, my boy.
Yep.
All of them.
Okay. You didn't feel your representation boner going when Thunderbird was in the comic book?
I was too busy remembering how Sunfire quit and joined the team 3 times within the course of 2 pages.
Yeah, no kidding. Kamala Khan isn't a mutant. She's an Inhuman, because that was Marvel's attempt to delegitimize the mutants and downplay them in the comic books, because they didn't have the film rights to mutants. So they were going to try to push the Inhumans as their thing, instead of mutants. And then the Inhumans movie came out and everybody hated it and thought, what the hell is this shit? And that just kind of didn't happen.
Well, what ultimately happened was they eventually just bought the X-Men back. And they said, well, this isn't working. Kamala Khan, our iconic titular character, we're going to shove her into the mutants now and make her one of them. Yeah,
because we got to have Kamala Khan and everything, right? She's just the perfect demographic, right? She's Muslim, she's Pakistani, she's a girl, she's young.
Despise this character. She has had 6 or 7 reboots of her comic because they keep failing.
Well, yeah.
What always happens? Speculators come in, buy the first issue because hey, maybe it'll do well, or
#1,
or one of the few shops will turn around and they'll buy a couple just to see if customers will bite, and then it quickly starts falling off.
Well, not to mention all the variant covers.
Right. Well, I mean, that's Marvel in general. That's always been their gimmick, and Hasbro learned from that.
Yes, they did. Actually, all the companies did. I mean, even Magic the Gathering and D&D.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yep. Everybody learned the variant cover trick. Hey, looks like we sold twice as many books because we have variant covers, and so retailers will want to stock both types in their stores. Yeah. Esoteric Order of Nerdy says, yeah, if Kamala Khan had a decent writer and artist, they could have made a good comic. Yeah, they could have. I was interested in the character when she first came out. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I gave all of the MCU characters in the comic books a fair shake. Okay? I honestly kind of liked Jane Foster Thor. It didn't dawn on me how ridiculous she was until later on. Other people were pointing it out to me, like how she had mastered her powers so much more better and so much more faster than Thor.
I was buying those comics at the time, and she was consistently the absolute worst part of those books. There was some fascinating stuff in there. I like the stuff with Volstagg picking up the hammer as he's going through literally the ash of all these children that he's tried to save and failed, and just being brought to this brink of saying, no, enough's enough. I'm being basically possessed by this hammer that feeds into his own indulgences, and basically he becomes the War Thor.
Mm-hmm. I
was
remember.
fun.
It was fun. They had some neat things with it. I mean, but you know, I gave it a try. I gave Kamala Khan a try. I gave Ironheart a try. I gave Moon Girl and
Devil Dinosaur.
Devil Dinosaur a try. I really did. I even gave as a Captain Falcon, Captain America, the Falcon, a try. I really did, and yeah.
It was there's such terrible stuff in there. Like Ironheart, like I have gone over this so many times, where she's a character whose origin was she told her teacher to oppress me so I can overcome it. She wanted to be a victim.
Yeah, she wanted to be a victim. Yeah, that was stupid to begin with. I don't know why they came up with that as an idea for a story. But to me, I think what destroyed the comic books, like, and it did it in such a way as to where they just damned it in a way that they can never fully recover from, was the Hydra turn for Cap.
Oh, yeah. Nick Spencer. Fuck you, Nick Spencer. Go fuck yourself.
Definitely.
Jeez, I fucking hate that.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's up there with fucking Brian Michael Bendis coming into DC and ruining Superman and having to go and, you know, fuck up like what was a really good run of the comics there. You've got
he's really mad, folks.
Oh, there's just a few runs like this that just ruined so many books.
You mean like the Spider-Man Just One More Day thing where what was it,
J. Michael Straczynski.
Yeah, Mephisto shows up and basically lets Spider-Man turn everything all back, but everyone is forgotten about and the romance is broken.
Mm-hmm. Or when they basically cucked Batman at the altar and Catwoman left him.
After building up so much hype.
Oh, there's a lot of other dumb ones, like Pregnant Spider-Woman comics.
Uh-huh.
Where she was flying around in space and having to be a superhero while she's got her big old bloated belly and she's about to deliver.
Yeah, not to mention there was a disabled spider person.
Oh my god. Yeah, there was that. Did you see the little short run of She-Hulk comics where she didn't fight? She had like PTSD and she like stayed in her house and like watched cooking YouTube videos on her phone.
Wow, because I want to read a comic book like that. And you know what? The hit parade continues because now they're gonna unbury Gwen Stacy.
I like Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy was my favorite, Spider-Man girl. I like blondes.
Yeah.
But
me too.
The thing is, it's one of the few deaths that matters in comics. Like the loss of her, the death of Gwen Stacy has been one of the biggest things that's happened to Peter. And it's like you at this point you effectively have 3 deaths left in comics that are the only things that have stayed consistent. You
Uncle
Ben, Gwen Stacy, and Marvel. Yeah.
Although they did kind of bring back Marvel, but he was part of the Cancerverse, and he was basically evil, and it was an alternate universe type thing, so it wasn't really him.
Yeah,
but yeah,
so you can kind of shoot that one off because that was sort of this little alternate what if. Like, no, in this case, they're just straight up going to bring back Gwen Stacy, and
yeah,
it used to be that certain characters like Bucky used to be on that list, but they kind of made the Bucky thing work, admittedly. But for every time they've done that with Bucky, or they've made one of these fake out deaths work, like him and Jason Todd, we've had so many other bastardizations that make people say, fuck you, I'm not buying your books. And they can't afford it right now.
Okay, I thought the Jason Todd coming back as the Red Hood was the dumbest goddamn thing ever. Because think about this, okay? I remember that comic when it came out because my friend showed it to me. I didn't know it was a thing. So I read it, and I got to see, Jason Todd get the shit beaten out of him with a crowbar by Joker. And then there at the back, there was the whole call-in thing. Call in if you want to save him, or if you want him to die. And of course, you know, the writers did not want Jason Todd to die, but since everybody, the fans all made that call, they killed him off, and it affected Batman tremendously. It was a major turning point in that character's arc. So for them to, years later bring him back as the Red Hood, and I'm back now, but I'm a dick. Like, no. You can't undo that.
No, but they teach them. We get memes like this.
Oh, hi, Shanatsky.
Hey, what? They'll just bring back Uncle Ben. It turns out Uncle Ben was the Otzi.
Yeah, I mean, I halfway expect that to happen next. I mean, they're gonna come back and say, "Oh yeah, Uncle Ben was actually like a secret, racist of some sort because he was white, and his name resembled a certain person on a package of rice."
I mean, every few years they tease that they might do it. Like I think, what was it, the Clone Saga 2? They teased that they might bring back Uncle Ben.
Yeah, instead they had Ben Foster or Ben Riley. Sorry, Ben Riley.
Well, no,
Foster's
this was
an
like
actor.
I think it was like an evil Ben Riley that was going to bring back Uncle Ben.
Oh,
as sort
anyone
of
a fan?
As sort of a fuck you to Peter.
Yeah. Anyone a fan of Oracle, Barbara Gordon? I haven't really seen her do too much in the comic books. Obviously, because after Killing Joke, it was neat to see the transition the character went through as far as getting back on her feet and, well, so to speak, and having a commitment to helping Batman out and everything. The Killing Joke was. I don't know if I would say Killing Joke was deconstructionist, although a lot of people would probably say, that's another Alan Moore thing where he just deconstructed heroes. But the Killing Joke had a major impact on Batman.
It was never supposed to have bled over into the comics themselves. It was something that it was just because that book was so popular they eventually did do it. And that Barbara Gordon as Oracle was one of these things that was one of many, many things that the Screw 52 decided to go and mess up.
Of course, because
it's up there with like Superman in jeans and turning Lobo into a twink.
It's funny that they'll take that over, but not the possibility that Batman may have strangled the Joker to death.
Well, maybe I'm just a simple man and, I like, butter on my toast. But for years and years and years, the comic book that always, spoke to me, the one I enjoyed the most, was The Punisher. And there's nothing really complicated about this guy. He finds bad guys, he kills them. Very simple formula. A to B, point blank, black and white. It works. It's great. The stories are really cool, action-packed, usually pretty bloody, gory, and violent. And then Marvel kept trying to change things up. Because for a little bit it was, Frank Castle turns black. Temporarily, of course. So it let us look at the Punisher from a different racial mindset. Plus, he was hanging out with Luke Cage, because, you can't hang out with Luke Cage if you're a white guy. But whatever.
Yeah,
Danny Rand.
Danny Rand.
Yeah. Yeah, but for a little bit, it was like, Punisher had Bullseye on the ropes. I mean, he shot him through both hands. Bullseye couldn't do shit. He had him at his mercy. And that was when they decided to reveal the big plot line that the Punisher is not going to kill anymore. He's just going to punish. Yeah, I shot you through both of your hands. Maybe that's good enough punishment for you. I'm like, this guy is a psychotic, mass murdering piece of shit. And he's probably by far one of the worst criminals that you have ever encountered, and you let him go with his hands blown off?
It's kind of always been my problem with them making that like a Batman issue. It's like, oh, if I kill, there's 2 killers in the world. Now it's like, no, it's the point. There's a point where I'm sorry, this person's going to continue murdering people. If you don't stop them, you got blood on your hands, kid.
Oh, by the way, this is New 52 Lobo.
Oh my god. Get it off my screen.
The stuff like this is why I love the Shadow so much, because in general, the Shadow will kill you. But certain people that can be rehabilitated, he does. And he makes them his agents.
Yep.
And the thing is, they love to play this morally gray story of like, we'll let our characters play in these shades of gray just a little bit, and they'll be morally ambiguous and conflicted about it. It's like, guys, no, it's fine. It's fun to experiment with a little bit, but ultimately, you go back to who the fucking character is. I am sorry to use you, but
nope,
I'm
you're
a
right.
little fired up over this.
I can tell. And that is a thing. Because it's like, like I said, I read The Punisher for years, and then they decided to go with that arc, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to read this anymore. And from there, it just got worse because, the Punisher was killed and then resurrected as like an angelic servant and as a spirit of punishment that you could call on, and he could go and he could go kill people for you and all this other shit. And they kept trying to fuck with the formula over and over and over, and every single time it kept failing and kept failing and kept failing. And then they handed it over to Garth Ennis, who basically took it all the way back to the beginning, and he wrote an extremely witty, an extremely dark, and totally the best Punisher run ever in the history of comic books. I mean, just straight up. If you go back and you read, Welcome Back, Frank, that's the Punisher, man. And his stuff was brilliant. I mean, and then when he got Punisher Max, that was even better because it was like super duper gory. We took the filter off and we introduced some nasty villains and some horrible things, and we give it to you balls out. And then for some reason, once again, they thought they could alter the formula a little bit. They kept trying other things like Frankencastle. It didn't last very long, but I'm okay with little changes like that, Frankencastle, that kind of thing.
I bought the trade.
Yeah, but altering the character permanently, that's a no-no. And that's how they eventually killed him off. Oh, first we're going to change the uniform, we're going to make him the leader of the Hand, and then we're going to torture him in a basement, and his wife will be resurrected from the dead, and take all his money and cuck him. And
they don't like him because he represents something that, well, people on the other side of the political divide find appealing. That's ultimately why they keep fucking him over.
They don't like the fans that were drawn to the character. And this is what you see consistently. Like, you enjoyed this wrong, and that's why things like the Joker 2 had to happen, where they completely have to do this big counteraction to the audience. Like, how dare you enjoy this? You're enjoying this wrong. That's why we have to come in, we have to fix it for you. Like D&D.
Exactly. And we got ooh, Mercurius. You didn't post anything, but you gave us $2 Australian. Thank you very much, sir. What are we gonna give him for that? Wait. Let's give him. Wait. We got to honor our guy here. Let me see. What are we gonna give him?
He gets beans.
Beans?
Beans
again? So soon?
Beans. Yes.
Okay. Beans for you, my friend. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's.
This motherfucker eating beans! Wait, no, it's not true,
There we go. Great work. Okay, what were you saying, Shinotsky?
Let's see.
Did we derail you with beans?
Beans are very good, but let's see. that character, the case in point, in another comic, Rurouni Kenshin. Kenshin doesn't kill. His entire conflict is keeping from killing. Meanwhile, you also have Saito, who will just flat out kill people who's evil, but he's still devoted to justice. And they do team up and allied, even if they vehemently disagree on how things should be handled. And the series takes those characters with maturity, especially when someone comes along that basically wants to destroy the entire fucking country.
Oh, how dare you try to compare, superior written anime to Marvel Comics or DC Comics? I mean, that's not even a fair comparison. That's like trying to say that Guts from Berserk, could beat up Batman.
I actually kind of find it funny that Batman's considered a dark character given the whole no killing, and he's kind of a pacifist if you really break it down, because he in theory doesn't want to kill anyone, he just wants to stop people from doing bad shit.
I know. And that was one of the things that always
I am so sick and tired of hearing about the no killing thing. It's like that's become the only thing that makes Batman interesting. It's like, guys, there's so much shit.
Yeah. But
sorry, it's just I hear someone bring that thing up and it triggers me a little bit.
Yeah. But I'm not going there into that thing. We've already talked about enough. But in comparison, think about Captain America, who is a soldier who has killed a lot of people and yet is considered a much more uplifting soul. There's something kind of interesting about that fact.
Well, I mean, and then you got Spider-Man, who hasn't killed anybody, at least not on purpose.
Except Gwen Stacy. But
he didn't.
I guess he didn't, because she's coming back. So
he didn't do it on purpose, but yeah, she's coming back anyway. So let's undo that.
Consequences? What are those?
No, we don't have consequences anymore. We just have, possibilities that can be undone with, a few words and some writing magic. Because it's the comic books and nobody ever dies. It's the same thing with the movies, the Marvel movies. Nobody ever dies in the Marvel movies. Oh, really? Well, how about we get T'Challa back? Oh, okay, we can't get him back.
Could you imagine, though? I mean, you could do a one-off where, some kind of, higher being is like, hey, if you could stop being Spider-Man, I'll put you in a world where Gwen never died, and he's so desperate he actually takes that deal and then tries to figure out how to get out of it by the end of it.
See, that would have been a much better Another Day. If if Mephisto had given him that option to bring Gwen Stacy back, and he said yes, and then Mephisto fucked him over.
Yeah, can you imagine that? There's an episode of Xena, Warrior Princess, where because she saves one of the oracles or something like that, one of the gods gives her the option is I ruined my life by becoming this warlord and everything else. So she was like, oh, okay, I'll put you back in your village, and you never did that. Sends back in time, and the world is worse off for it. And at the end of the episode, she kills people again, because that's the thing. She can live this nice life, but she can't kill anyone. But she can't not let warlords come in and kill the people around her.
Oh my gosh. We don't get these very often. This is a $50 super chat from Ultra American. Thank you very much, sir. You've been seeing posts and articles about a woke Wonder Woman game that got canceled and trashed. It actually makes sense, as Wonder Woman was one of the few DC heroes that seemed to escape the culture war fiasco until now. Booba will always win. Well, Wonder Woman's always been kind of an odd duck, because not so long ago, they released that whole, Dr. Marsden and the Wonder Women, where they revealed the actual origin of Wonder Woman as a BDSM character.
God knows they sucked her dick enough in Suicide Squad.
I wouldn't exactly say that Wonder Woman escaped unscathed, because there have been plenty of attempts to try and fuck with the source material. I mean, we've seen them kind of try to push in ideas about trans women being on Themyscira. Of course, we've also seen this lovely little cover pop up when it became a little subject of mockery.
Okay. Now, after this, we need to pause for a second, though. We have to honor this $50 super chat.
Yep.
Oh, God, that cover. Oh. And I remember the artist trying to justify this, and I'm just like, no. No. No.
I think
no.
some of them just want to get pegged by Wonder Woman. Like that's their fantasy. Overly muscular, semi-masculine, beautiful woman just pegging the shit out of them.
Well, like I said.
Which is ironic considering the Wonder Woman character was originally a very submissive one whose weakness was being tied up by men.
Uh-huh.
A lot.
Because it was a BDSM character.
Yeah.
But,
created by
anyway.
a guy in an open marriage.
Uh-huh. So, Ultra America, for $50, I'm going to give you Seng. We haven't done Seng in forever.
Hi! Welcome to Seng's Herbal Remedies. I am Seng. How may I assist you? Selling remedies is honest work. I came to America after discharge from Chinese herbal remedies forces to help aging parents with store. Definitely, I am now American citizen. God bless the allegiance flag. Chinese invented gunpowder. Yes, I know guns. Hold on, please. These are good remedies for many problems. No credit cards.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of funny because that particular game just gets better every goddamn year. It just, I don't know why. Which is a shame because the sequel is gonna suck so bad that it's the hardest $80 I've ever been beaten my ass out of.
What did they give it an official release date besides the year yet?
Nope. No, I'm still hearing things dropping about it, but I haven't seen an alpha or a beta or nothing. But I'm prepaid for it because I've been prepaid for it for what, 5, 6 years now, 7? I don't remember. I've forgotten.
You could have invested that money in anything, and given inflation, ended up paying less.
I mean, $80 for the super best edition because I really believed in their vision and who they had on board at the time, and that it was going to be an excellent game. And I have watched this $80 just not be worth a damn thing with what they have been releasing for updates.
Yeah, people get super upset with like the way Star Trek has been doing. Don't get me wrong, I'm upset about that too, or at least what they did to Picard. But what's happened to Vampire really hurts me.
Yeah, Ultra American. That the heck was from Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, probably the most originally underrated Vampire the Masquerade game to ever be released on the PC, and also the best. You can buy it on GOG. You can buy it on Steam. You will need to patch it. The patch links are part of the game, so you can figure out what to download and how to patch it. But once you do, I guarantee you the game is worth whatever you paid for it, because the game is that good. It has all kinds of replayability. It's so much fun to try so many different things in it. And for as old as it is, it was amazing. It was, like a, I don't know what the word is. What do they call it? A something classic?
Cult classic.
No, not a cult classic. Not like an underperforming classic, but a classic that's a flawed masterpiece.
A hidden gem.
A flawed masterpiece.
Yeah, because the last part of the game still kind of needs doing up, and the sewer. I mean, and the sewer.
Yeah. Although the new patches now let you bypass the sewer completely, because even they knew that was bullshit.
Yep.
But you know what? I made it through it when we didn't have all those patches on the original game, and somehow I managed to survive it. I mean, yes, I did a lot of save scumming, but damn it, you do what you got to do.
And then it got better.
Yeah, because the fan base is crazy in like a good way for it.
All right, guys. We're an hour and 30 up. I think that's more than enough. And we still got plenty of stuff to talk about on Saturday. Plenty of stuff to look at. So, shall we end it here? I mean, we had a good rant. We had some good stuff we showed you guys. We had some kind of interesting, controversial things to talk about, and definitely some nostalgic bits. So we kind of covered everything. We had movies, we had TTRPGs, we had news, we had toys, we had video games to a smaller extent, comic books, which we haven't done in a long time. So there we go. You got everything. You got a complete show in an hour and 30 minutes today. That's pretty good. So shall we end it? Yeah.
Yeah, because I gotta go pick up one of those copies of Assassin's Creed since it leaked.
Oh my god. No, let's not go there yet. Let's not go there yet. Please. We'll save it for Saturday. Oh, I haven't even talked about the boba tea fiasco. Boba tea invented in Taiwan, not Japan, guys. All right. See you all on Saturday.